now we're just making stuff up. We're not even taking attractions from places.
Things are getting a bit wild.
This is where the conversation, like, for those who are wondering, this was authentic Disneyland conversation right here, because we would go back and forth about everything.
And then we'd get distracted for a while about something else, and then all of a sudden one of us would be like, no, wait! We can't do that. Like, randomly.
Not unlike the Epcot tangent in this episode.
Yes.
Welcome back to If It Were Up to Us, the podcast where we rethink and redesign the ultimate Disney destination. If you're new here, we've been breaking down the castle parks of both land and world to create one brand new ultimate park with the best attractions. If you haven't listened to or watched our previous episodes, you can find them on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. I highly suggest watching the next few on YouTube so that you can see our maps that we've created and kind of follow along with what we're talking about. And you might just want to play a little catch up before checking out this one. Okay, all right. Well, we'll just dive in. Hey, Steph, how you doing today?
I'm really good.
No.
I'm going to change it up this time. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. How are you? You doing good?
You know, we're hanging in there. I know I've been telling you about my couple of weeks of travel chaos that I have been through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just done moving for a little while. Like, if I don't have to get on a plane or in a car, it'll be too soon. You know, it's just been a couple of those weeks, but we're hanging in there. I finally had a couple of hours to, like, unpack from the trip, like, 2 weeks ago. You know, I mean, for those of you who don't know, who are listening along, we had traveled for 4th of July and we ended up with the ear infection for my son, and we had to drive home 20 hours unexpectedly. So that, you know, we had planned to come home on a Saturday, and then it ended up not getting home until like 5 o'clock on that Sunday. It was crazy. And then the next weekend I had to travel and my flight got canceled and I was stuck for an extra day. And so I'm just like, I feel like I'm just playing catch up, you know, and It's crazy. But I did have a couple of hours to unpack and get my life a little bit back together, if that's possible. I don't know. But we're here and we're making it, and we're on episode 4.
I cannot believe we're already on episode 4. I said that about 3, but like this week specifically flew by. I don't know what it was. I actually told Chrissy, like, I'm not prepared. Like last night I told her, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing with Fantasyland. So like I sat down and really focused. Very eager to see your plans. We sent each other pictures of our maps. We haven't looked at them yet.
No.
So I'm very curious because I think you're going very big with Fantasyland. Are you expanding it a lot?
I am. Yes, somewhat. You know, I feel like mine still looks like Fantasyland. You know, that we know in kind of, you know, Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. I think it's familiar enough that if people were to walk into it, I feel like they would kind of understand and feel at home. But yeah, I am bringing some big things over. So, yeah. Before we get started on that, do we want to just quickly run through any new like Disney news? I know that we had all of like the Christmas party stuff come out for Disney World. And so that was exciting. We have Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Tickets went on sale for that. And Jollywood Nights. Now I've done the Christmas party. I have not done Jollywood Nights. Have you?
I haven't, and I really, really wanted to do it when I'm there in November, and the dates just aren't going to align. So I'm
took a look at
so
that too.
bummed. Because that's what I already told myself, like, if the dates line up, I'm going to do it. I will make it a priority, and it just isn't. It's either too early or too late, and not when I need it to be, darn it. Because I've done the Christmas party 2 or 3 times now.
Okay.
And so I don't feel like I necessarily need to do it, but I've never done Jollywood, so I was like, I'm gonna do it. No, I'm not.
Yeah. I feel like it's really geared towards adults. And so it's hard for me. I mean, I feel like the last few trips I have been solo when I've been in Disney. But yeah, if I go back at like the Christmas time, I'm definitely bringing the kids. And I just don't see us doing Jollywood Nights over a very Merry Christmas party. So
yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely more adult centered. I think they really wanted it to be like you dress up in your holiday best and you go, and you know, my kids don't want to do that. They just want to go and hang out and get cookies and hot chocolate.
Yeah, right. I mean, so do I. So I don't fault them for that.
No, not really. No.
And then big news. I mean, yesterday was Disney's 70th anniversary over in Disneyland. Did you catch any of the stuff around kind of the social media stuff and videos and all the things?
I didn't. I haven't been. I feel like when you and I were there, this was like later March. They had already started putting some of the 70th stuff out, just a little bit. And then I think a lot of influencers went like in June, like early June, and did like the whole 70th thing. So I feel like it's been a long 70th, and then now it's officially the 70th. So I didn't really pay much attention yesterday, to be honest. Did you?
Yeah. I caught a little bit of, videos here and there of people that I follow on social media. And I did see that it looked like they had something for cast members only before the park opened, which was really kind of cool. And obviously Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro were there and, for the day and celebrating. I also saw a video that they opened the New York Stock Exchange from Disneyland. Like they rang the opening bell, which I thought was kind of cool. So, but I mean, other than that, I really didn't. Like you, I feel like a lot of when they did the whole pin key thing, I feel like all the influencers rushed out there to get a hold of that key that I don't know if it does. Is it like a epic bubble wand or something? I don't know.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
You stick in.
Yeah, you stick in and then you have to visit all the places before the key pops out or the pin pops out or whatever it is. And I feel like that was a big thing. And then I really haven't heard a whole lot. So I'll be probably again playing catch up on some of that kind of stuff. So well, why don't we maybe take a little break, check out each other's maps, and then we'll come back and talk about what we've got going on.
Okay.
All right.
Ready.
All right. So we've had a chance to kind of look at each other's maps. I like that we're seeing some similar ideas, very different. I feel like there are things that I'm putting here that you want to put elsewhere in our new parks. So, I'll start talking I'll lead off this one. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
I'm down.
Okay. So for some background, for those of you who don't know Fantasyland like the back of your hand, I think like Stephanie and I do, I'm going to throw, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm putting up a map of how Fantasyland exists in the Magic Kingdom, so that you can kind of see how it is current day. If you're listening along, or following along on Apple Podcasts and listening to us, I'll kind of try and relate to where some existing features are in the parks. Pretty much you walk through the castle and you're immediately met with a carousel. To your right and to your left are some buildings which contain some meet and greets. So on your right you have Princess Fairy Tale Hall as it currently exists, right? So Fairy Tale Hall, and then kind of as you make your way around the corner, moving to the right, that's where Winnie the Pooh is, right? The Winnie the Pooh ride and stuff. On your left, kind of looking at the carousel, you have, I believe it's PhilharMagic, and then it moves over to Peter Pan. And then as you move around that corner, you hit the Tangled bathrooms, and you start to move into Frontierland. Further up to the left is the side that has It's a Small World and then Pinocchio's Village House restaurant. Beyond the carousel is some kind of castle-like archwork that brings you into the new Fantasyland section of the park, which contains Enchanted Stories with Belle, Be Our Guest restaurant. Kind of moving to the left, then there's Ariel's what is it? The Voyage. I forget what her ride is.
Under the Sea.
Yes, the Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Yeah. And then you hit like Gaston's Tavern, which I always thought it was weird that those are kind of, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like those are split up, but maybe they're not. It's so funny because that's the one thing in the park I can never figure out where it is. Everything else I know like the back of my hand, but Gaston's Tavern, I'm lost all the time. And then Seven Dwarfs Mine Train's kind of there in the middle. As you keep going around, you hit Storybook Circus, and then you find your way back to in front of like Winnie the Pooh, where you find the Mad Hatter Party, teacups,
Mad Tea Party,
whatever it's called.
You remember how you just a little bit ago said you probably don't know Disney World as well as
put me in the park. I can navigate you anywhere. Right?
Explaining it without it in front of you is a little different. I got you. That's all right.
Yeah, just don't rely on me to get you to Gaston's Tavern. But other than that, I'm good. I can take you where you need to go.
If I want a cinnamon roll, I'm not going to come to you for help. Okay.
Don't. Just don't do it. Okay, so I'll just dive in. So I kind of went with the same idea around splitting Fantasyland into two sections. And I have named my two sections Castle Courtyard, and then I have Fantasyland Forest. So I'll start talking about my Castle Courtyard, and you can tell me what your thoughts are. So my Castle Courtyard was kind of the idea of these like classic fairy tale attractions. This to me is really what resonates with the whole kind of idea of Fantasyland. I think the dedication when it opened there in Disneyland was basically like Fantasyland is dedicated to the young and the young at heart, to those who believe when you wish upon a star, your dream can come true, right? And it's really that idea of like enchantment and magic and make-believe. And this is where, I feel like opening day, we saw a lot of original ideas for attractions and original stories involving our favorite characters. So it wasn't necessarily the retelling of our favorite tales, but it was like elements of that. So for me, that's where I did include, I really kind of stuck with that idea for this section of the park. So if you are in our castle park and you're looking at the castle, to your, like standing in front of the castle, to your left is that entry into our new Yesterland section over a bridge. So you'd head over that bridge, and then instead of going into Yesterland, we're going to hang a right, and that's going to take you up into Fantasyland. And we're basically, the way I'm working is I'm going to be going from left to right, kind of walking in behind the castle. So my first attraction that you're going to come across is actually going to be like Winnie the Pooh, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and the 100 Acre Goods. So I pulled this attraction out of Shanghai, but it really is the same attraction that we see in Walt Disney World and in Disneyland. It's really the facade and the fact that these are two separate buildings that I felt like could kind of bridge the gap between the look of the buildings that we see in our new Yesterland and then move into Fantasyland. So that's kind of where I started with that. Where then moving up past that, I have the Fantasyland train station. And then in between the two is where I put the teacup ride. So, before I get to kind of like what's directly kind of behind the castle, any thoughts around that, Steph?
Okay, so she is working where the Haunted Mansion is today in the Magic Kingdom. Picture that. She's starting from that side, if that was confusing at all.
It'll make sense. It'll make more sense when you see the map on YouTube.
Exactly, yes. So I think you already saw my map that I have a different place from Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of fighting about that, and I still will. I like that you plucked, I'm guessing, is that the train station from Disneyland where you walk under to go to Toontown?
So the image that I used is actually the one out of Hong Kong, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's
like
kind of that same idea. So, it would have pathways that you could walk under that would eventually, and you'll see kind of on my map that leads to that new Villains Land.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And okay, maybe I'll just kind of keep hers in mind. I will also work my way from that. But where the Tangled bathrooms are right now in Walt Disney World, I want to leave it where it is, but bring the Rapunzel's Lantern Festival from Tokyo Disney Sea and stick it with that tower. Or like retheme that area to just be Tangled. And then I'm fine with keeping Small World where it's at, but I want the one from Paris because the facade is super colorful and pretty, and it still has kind of like that water, because I believe from the look of the picture, you still maybe board outside and then go into the ride like you do in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then across from that, I also kept Peter Pan. And if you look at my map, I put version to be decided. Like, if it makes more sense to maybe also bring the Peter Pan's flight from Tokyo, that would kind of match, because it's really, like, grassy and pretty, kind of match the vibe of the Tangled and the Small World. Actually, you know what? Oh, my God.
What thought did you just
I don't want Small World in Fantasyland. I just remembered I had another place for it.
Mine is, I also removed Small World from Fantasyland.
I wanted to. So I don't know why I kept it. This is why you prepare early. So we're just going to scratch that for now.
Okay.
And
all right.
let me look back at yours.
Well, at least I don't have to fight you on that.
No, I want to move it.
I took it out of the park completely.
Yes, that's what I would like to do. And I think we have the same idea of where we want to put it. So I'm good with that. I am also good with, I see you did, do you have the Tangled ride specifically?
I do. It's in the other section
on the other
of the
side.
park.
Okay. But I want to fight you about Winnie the Pooh. So that whole side of the park is going to be a mess for a hot minute. Obviously down for the train station though.
Okay, great. All right. I'll take the win. Yeah. I'll take a win where I can get it.
Down for the train station. I do think there needs to be one extra. There's only 3 in the Magic Kingdom, like in Disney World. I think there does need to be an extra, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And then let me just check mine out again and see what else I have.
I completely agree, and I did add an extra train station.
Yeah.
In this.
I cannot believe I did that with Small World. I think I just got so excited because I was looking at all the versions and I was like, oh yeah, and then before I even said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's not where I want that.
You're like, I don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we both want Peter Pan's flight, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
and I'm not, and when it comes to, I'm not tied to a specific version. No. I just think it's a classic attraction and we have to have it. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I guess you move on, and then we'll probably have to circle back to fighting.
That's okay. We can do that. I have some notes, and I'll kind of tell you, I guess, so I did go into a little bit of detail with what some of these attractions, for those who haven't been to the international parks, look like. So I did pull some of that stuff. So for the Tangled boat ride that you were talking about, I do have some more detail, but I'll get to that when I get to where I'm placing it in the park. In the meantime, though, I actually brought over the Fantasy Gardens from Hong Kong. And this is a like garden-like area where Stephanie can finally get her benches. Just a whole bunch of benches for people to sit and hang out in Fantasyland. But this is also where they do some meet and greets for their characters. And there are not specified characters. I actually downloaded all the apps to like get the information. And there's not specified characters. So I did put like I would definitely have Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan meeting in this area, plus maybe some of those when Disney uses these, they put out characters when they need to disperse crowds, and so like that's when they bring out Merlin and some of those kind of more obscure characters. So I felt like that could be somewhere that characters could meet, and it's kind of off to the side. Plus it's like this garden-like area that would have some trees, and it would have some benches, and nobody would be eating on trash cans over there. So I did bring that over. And then, yes, I did bring in Peter Pan kind of in the middle of that castle courtyard. And then directly behind the castle is where I would put King Arthur Carousel, which is the Disneyland version. And the reason that I did this is, first of all, this carousel is like the OG. It is the opening day attraction, but the carousel itself was actually built in 1922. And then it was brought to Disneyland when it opened from Toronto. And then they refurbished it in 1983, but some of the horses that are on the carousel are actually still original horses. So again, if we're wiping the two existing places, I thought we need to bring one that has some history with it. So that's where I went with that one. When it comes to that building that's kind of on the back side of the castle, I brought in two different attractions there that I saw in some other places. So the first one is the Once Upon a Time Adventure, and this comes from, it's actually one of the many attractions in the castle at Shanghai. And this is a Snow White themed walkthrough attraction. I thought this one was really cool because it reminds me of like the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough that you get in Disneyland, right? The castle where you walk through and you have the images of the images or scenes from the movie that you can kind of look at. But for me, this one is kind of cool because it leans into some of the technology that we see in Enchanted Stories with Belle, where we can see the magic kind of fly across the room. So in this attraction, guests step through the magic mirror. It talks to you and then you step through it. And there's it's a combination of scenes that we see in a lot of our ride queues, right? Those 3-dimensional scenes where over, for example, in Tiana's Bayou, you're looking at Tiana's kitchen, right? Or a section where or her office where she's got stuff on the wall and all of that. But then it also has these really these animation screens, so it looks like you're watching Snow White at her wishing well, but instead of an animatronic in this 3D scene, it's actually a screen. So I thought that was really kind of cool. And then, so I thought we could bring that over to, say, for example, where Mickey's PhilharMagic is. And then where the kind of existing Peter Pan ride is in Disney World, I went on a little bit of a research rabbit hole into some opening day attractions for Walt Disney World. And there was one that I really loved the idea of. And I think it could be updated. So if you'll indulge me and go down a research rabbit hole with me for a second, I looked up Mickey's musical review. This was an opening day attraction in 1971 in Walt Disney World. So about 10 years before that, Walt was doing an interview where he talked about how he was inspired from the technology of the Enchanted Tiki Room, and he casually made mention of wanting to do something like that with all the characters at the time. And unfortunately, Walt passed away before we saw him do that, right? We know he passed away before Walt Disney World came to be, but Imagineers continued with this idea for the Florida project, and what resulted was this Mickey Mouse musical review. The name ended up changing later on to just Mickey's Music Review. And if you have seen PhilharMagic, you'll kind of get the same vibes. But this was an animatronic show that featured Mickey Mouse as a conductor of other animatronic characters from the classic Disney movies at the time. And they all were singing songs from their films. So, like I said, the name was later changed, but something that was kind of cool was that they did the pre-show recording before they changed the name. So as guests entered, they heard like, "Welcome to the Mickey Mouse Musical Review," and that was not the name of the attraction. Little fun fact for you. But so if you'll journey with me into this attraction, so the curtains would open and a spotlight would go on Mickey Mouse, and he welcomed guests to the theater, and then a curtain would open in a different section on this very large stage, and it would highlight characters for each scene, like I said, singing the song. So things like the Three Little Pigs singing "Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf," and then also like "Bippity Boppity Boo" from Cinderella, and in between the scenes they would have like dancing shadows. So for example, after the Cinderella song, the curtain would close on those animatronics, and instead we would end up seeing the shadow of Cinderella and her prince dancing to "So This Is Love." Curtains would open and close throughout the show on different characters, with the final scene being some of our favorite friends from some of our favorite Brer friends from the later to be, like literally the animatronics from this one ended up being the animatronics over in Splash Mountain. And they were singing their signature Zippity Doo Dah song. Then all the curtains would suddenly open and the characters throughout the entire show started singing along to Zippity Doo Dah. And then as you see Mickey is conducting them, they finish that song, the lights dim on the ensemble. Mickey turns around to the final verse of the Mickey Mouse Club, where it really slowly sings Mickey. Before Mickey, turned around to his guests and thanked them for attending the show. Unfortunately, due to some planning errors, the pre-show could only hold about 300 people, but the theater itself had room for 500. So the theater was never actually full when guests entered the attraction, and they ended up not having great numbers for it, and it closed in 1980. The cool thing is that this was around the same time that they were building Tokyo Disney, so they literally picked up this attraction and moved it over there, and it ran for another 26 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because they did it right.
Right, they did. They figured out the whole issue and filled that theater.
Yeah.
So I want to bring this attraction in. I want to update it with the technology and the animatronics, but I would love to see some of those older movies being featured in the parks. I also, love the idea of Mickey conducting an orchestra, and I really feel like Disney owns the animatronic game. Why not highlight that? I know we have Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is kind of a combination of that and some of the screens and stuff like that, but I feel like I want to bring this back. I want to bring a good, kind of musical attraction show, not to say that like Country Bears isn't a good musical attraction show, but I want something that has all of my favorite songs in it. So that's what I would put there on that kind of left side of the castle. And replace Mickey's PhilharMagic. Thoughts?
I'm down for that, and you're so passionate about it. I'm not going to fight that one. You can put that where PhilharMagic is. I actually don't even have PhilharMagic even mapped in here. So works for me. So now that I'm on the same page as my brain about Small World, I'll have to fix my map. And I would replace that kind of section of where I put Small World. Mm-hmm. If you look at my number 4, I want to bring in Pinocchio's Daring Journey from Disneyland and keep the Village House. Yeah. But instead of it looking down into Small World, it would look into the Pinocchio ride.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what would fill my little gap once I pull out Small World and put it where it needs to go. Okay. I still can't believe I did that. It's so funny. In we'll have your little show now. My 5, I just put carousel because I knew you were going to come at me with all the versions of carousels or something. I was just pre thinking that was going to happen.
I really should have done that because every park has one. But I mean, ultimately, I think, no offense, but a carousel is a carousel, and unless you have the history behind it, it's just another carousel. So
exactly. So I'm good with the Disney World one of that. I also, on the opposite side of where we're putting Phil, the new show, and the Snow White thingamabob, I'm fine with too. I don't remember what it was called.
Once Upon a Time Adventure. Gosh.
Sorry. Opposite the castle, I would keep the Princess Fairy Tale Hall, where they meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I want to move where Dumbo is now. Dumbo is over in Storybook Circus in Disney World. I'm plucking that specific one out and putting it kind of where Enchanted Tales with Belle kind of sits today as we know it.
Okay, referencing.
Like before you hit the bridge. So that's where I would put it, and kind of leading over a little bit more to the right. We're gonna walk back towards where the Be Our Guest restaurant is. I'm keeping Seven Dwarfs where it's at. Yeah. But I'm taking that restaurant out because you wanted to put it in the castle, right?
I did.
Okay.
I do.
So I took it out, and I want to bring in the Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast from Tokyo, where you get in the cups, and I want to put that ride where that is.
Oh, yes. That's their trackless ride that kind of goes through scenes of the movie. Okay.
So I want to keep her castle, but you'd be able to go into it.
Okay. Yeah.
And keep Gaston's Tavern and everything where it's at. And I would like to make kind of back there another entrance to go into the villains area. Because, like, you have Gaston's Tavern, and that would kind of lead you back. So that you could, like, basically circle where we have the train station in Fantasyland and Gaston's. It would kind of circle around. And I figured, you know how there's the dark forest in Beauty and the Beast in the movie? That would be behind the castle. And so when you're walking by, you kind of walk through that back to the villains area. Where whatever is going to be in the villains area. But that's what I was envisioning when I was putting this together.
Okay. All right. I could get with that. I could see that.
So I also kept the same setup where you go past Gaston's first, Chrissy, before you hit Little Mermaid.
Right. Now, now I'll never forget it. So thanks for that.
I kept the Little Mermaid, and then maybe we should go back to yours because you have a little bit more of a different plan for where I put the Beauty and the Beast ride. You want something else to go there, I see.
I do. So I do, and that does bring me into my fairy tale forest. So kind of coming up, or I will say I also left Seven Dwarfs where it is, and like with the Walt Disney World version with their interactive queue and everything, I did leave that. My next thing is actually dropping in the whole world of Frozen from Hong Kong. And I say the whole world. There was an attraction that I did leave out from their section. So I would be bringing over their show building and facade for their Frozen Ever After. But I would actually retheme this to Frozen 2 because this is my section called Fantasyland Forest or Fairy Tale Forest. So because that whole movie takes place in a forest, I thought, why not put this version here? So it would be a retelling or, scenes from Frozen 2 and not the existing Frozen Ever After that we have in the Norway Pavilion. And then also the Playhouse in the Woods, which is, again, kind of another show. And so the Playhouse in the Woods, in this one, Anna and Elsa host guests at their childhood hideaway for a theatrical experience where you get to, like, guests get to play a part in the story and discover their connection to the elements. So it is very much kind of like that Enchanted Tales with Belle idea, where they're kind of, but it's not necessarily a retelling of their story. They're really talking, well, let me just reference, the video I watched was not in English, so I don't know exactly what they're saying. Keep that in mind. But I do know that Anna and Elsa act as like storytellers, helping guests discover their connection to the like elements, and then it incorporates some of those like I call it like the magical twinkle, right, that we see on the walls sometimes. You know, you see it in Happily Ever After when the magic kind of glows up the castle. Hashtag magic twinkle. This, and then the sisters remind us how we connect to the world around us through the elements, and before Elsa ends up putting kind of on a magical display, and then everybody kind of leaves the playhouse. So I felt like we need some more of these types of shows within Magic Kingdom. I feel like we have a lot of attractions and rides, and so I feel like some of these slower paced things that people can go to and get a little bit more experience with would be a good idea. So that's what I would bring over. I will mention that and I know we're gonna fight about this one, but there is another attraction in this land that I felt if we already have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, maybe we don't need this one.
And I would agree with that if we put that in this park. That it didn't need to be in there. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to send Chrissy my Epcot map because I knew she would be plucking that and trying to stick it in Magic Kingdom. And I also want to pluck that sucker right out too. But I want to put it in Epcot in the Norway Pavilion, the whole castle and stuff, because I just feel like Epcot doesn't have enough for children. I struggle with my kids there. They get bored. And honestly spend too much on snacks to keep them occupied. So that's where I would like to put it. I personally like my bringing the Beauty and the Beast thing over, keeping the Gaston's Tavern.
Okay,
that's
so here's
how I feel.
I am going to hold my tongue. Because here's the thing. When you look at my map, so I did the same thing. I kept Seven Dwarves. I kept the Little Mermaid ride that I will never remember the name of. Kind of where they are, right? Like I did do that. However, I also held my tongue when you were talking about so I did bring the Rapunzel stuff over as well. Yes. And then same thing, I still have Enchanted Tales with Belle. I still have Gaston's Tavern. I have that all there, and I'm not opposed. I actually was going to ask because I knew I was taking out Be Our Guest Restaurant, putting it in our castle. I've got this empty building, so I was going to ask what you want to do with it. I think the trackless ride that you suggested is the perfect fit for that. I'm happy with that. I love that. I also pulled out from like Disney Tokyo was it Tokyo that I pulled it out of? Yeah, the Snuggly Duckling Restaurant. And then I also said Rapunzel's Lantern Festival. And for those who don't know what that one is, that is the telling of Rapunzel's, it's a boat ride retelling of like Rapunzel's love story. So it's not a retelling of her entire like film like we do kind of see in some of these other attractions. But it is strictly just like the scenes with her and Flynn. And Flynn Rider has my heart, so I'm for that. I love it. Plus, I think the animatronics in the things that I've seen come out of that attraction are just incredible. And then, so I love that idea. But I struggle with putting a fully immersive themed land in the Norway Pavilion because it is a Norway Pavilion. The idea behind including Frozen in the Norway Pavilion was that they vacation to Norway from Arendelle, and this is their summer house. So I think that I love the idea. I really do love the idea of like putting more stuff for children in Epcot, but I think it doesn't quite, the fully immersive land doesn't fit.
I could see
Epcot.
that. Yeah, especially if we're talking that it's the summer house.
Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, unless you get rid of that idea completely and you start putting fictional lands into World Showcase.
And here's the deal. I don't like World Showcase, period. This is what I'm going to get the comment from that. Stephanie doesn't like anything. I think World Showcase should have been a Disney Springs idea. Okay? Because I went to Disney not to eat food and drink alcohol. I went to go ride rides. Yeah. And like there's just not enough happening in that area.
You have the same mentality as most children do when they get to Epcot. Yeah.
Yeah, like I struggle with Epcot. I mean, I like it. It's my husband's favorite, but like I want to hang out in the front of the park where the rides are.
Yeah.
Like I will hit Mexico because that's my favorite pavilion. That's the only one that needs to be included in my book. But like I struggle with it. That's why I personally, not just for the children, like there's gotta be something else that's like Disney. And I know that Epcot was not meant to, we're talking too much Epcot, but like it was not meant to be a park like that. I get that, but like it didn't ever come to what he wanted it to be anyways.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to the Magic Kingdom. On my side, kind of where Chrissy is having her, what are you calling, the fairy tale forest, I pretty much kept that you circle around instead of where Storybook Circus is, that's going to be Toontown, and we both kind of agree on that. But coming back around where they kind of meet, I took out Winnie the Pooh because I want to put it somewhere else. I already said that. But I want to instead leave the Mad Tea Party where it is, leave the Cheshire Cafe, but somewhere maybe across from it where like you would kind of be able to see Dumbo where it is now. I want to bring the Alice in Wonderland ride in from Disneyland to kind of pull that little area together.
I'm beginning to wonder if because I don't see Winnie the Pooh in Fantasyland.
No,
So I'm beginning to wonder if you
know
are
where I
having
put
the
it.
same idea that I'm having, but reversed.
So I would like to put Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in the UK Pavilion in Epcot.
That's where I was going to put Alice in Wonderland, so it's fine.
Okay, all right. That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I want to say, because I pulled a lot out of Disneyland and I didn't bring Snow White, the Snow White ride. I was fine with keeping it in Fantasyland, but I figured if we didn't, we could maybe stick that in Germany.
Okay. Okay. I feel like they're almost going to have to be one and the same, Epcot and Fantasyland, because that was my thought process too. And I do happen to know that they have space in the Germany Pavilion for an attraction. They had planned for that to be the case and never did anything with it. So that is why I left Snow White out of this one, and because that was my thought as well. But to still have kind of that story retelling, to put the one from what is it, Hong Kong, Shanghai, one of those two in.
Yeah. Okay. Did you finish your Fantasyland? Your just talks.
Did I finish my Fantasyland? Let me see.
I think so.
Yes. The building on the right-hand side of the castle is where I would still keep Princess Fairy Tale Hall. There needs to be a secondary place because, as Stephanie said, we just don't behave ourselves in Disney World for roaming characters. Yeah. So there needs to be a princess meet and greet besides a dining character dining experience. So I did keep that there. And I don't hate the idea of Sir Mickey's, the boutique with the photo pass shop in there as well.
Yeah.
I love that. Plus, that's where grown-ups can get pixie dusted with glitter in their hair. And so.
Okay, so I think we can agree on we won't put Arendelle in Epcot. But can we move its location in Fantasyland from where you have it? Can we maybe put the Tangled stuff back over? Because I don't want Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh there. We could even put Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh back where it is today in the Magic Kingdom.
Listen, I would be fine with moving Winnie the Pooh to Epcot. I think it makes sense. Plus, I think there's already a Winnie the Pooh meet and greet in Epcot, so that is in Christopher Robin's room. I love that. I think that's great. So I would be okay with that. And yes, I will concede to you moving the Tangled area so long as we both agree that both the attraction and the Snuggly Duckling can go there.
Oh, yeah, that's
okay, great.
Good. And especially because we're going to open up space because we're taking Small World out. Mm-hmm. So it can fit. And then can we put the Arendelle where you have your Tangled and Beauty and the Beast area?
Yes, I actually thought about doing that. In one of my versions of this map, because I felt like the rock work was kind of similar, and so it could blend the two worlds somewhat, between the rock work around like Beast Castle and the rock work around the Frozen Land. So
yeah, because if I'm picturing it, they're gonna hit. Maybe we need to move Pinocchio. Or not put Pinocchio. Do you have Pinocchio in there at all?
So I didn't, which was sad to me because I love Pinocchio Village House. I'm a pizza girl, and that's where I get my pizza in the Magic Kingdom. So.
Well, there's not a lot of food options in the Magic Kingdom anyway. So
yeah.
I'm thinking if we could kind of keep your two different names of your areas and still keep the Fairy Tale Forest, because you would hit Tangled, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Frozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you could keep those princesses kind of back there. And
that really was my idea, was to keep the princesses. Right? Yeah. All together, which again is why I felt like Arendelle needed to go there. And I think that, so this is where we get into this third section of my park that you alluded to, which is your Toontown section being back in Fantasyland. Mine is kind of in more or less in the space that is that very right-hand section of Fantasyland and moving down towards Tomorrowland.
So like where Storybook Circus is.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
But we'd have to shift it down a bit because of our princesses, which is fine because I think we're both kind of in agreement that Tomorrowland's probably going to be tiny.
I think it's going to be a little. There are things. Well, when we get to that, we're going to have a discussion between what belongs in Tomorrowland and what belongs in this like section again of Epcot. So, yeah. But for me, I called it Toontown Fair. For this section of, or what my Toontown looks like. Because if I'm looking correctly, it looks like yours is pretty much just right out of Disneyland, yes? You wouldn't change too much around it.
I just plucked her right out of there.
Mm-hmm. And I know I said this when we were in Disneyland, but like that brought back so many memories just of like with Mickey's house and just that whole, I just love Toontown. Yeah. It needs to be there. It's so classic. But for me, there were elements that I would take out. So, for Toontown, where is my Toontown? Did I not get, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So my Toontown is a combination of, Toontown and Storybook Circus. So I am going back to that name of Mickey's like Toontown Fair, where basically the circus has come to Toontown. So you're going to enter Storybook Circus first, And this is where you're going to get your Dumbo attraction with the 2 sets of rides that we have in Magic Kingdom. And then also Big Top Souvenirs, bringing that building in and over. And then also Casey Jr.'s like Splash and Play yard. Having that. And then I would also be adding in a train station behind Casey Jr.'s Splash, like where I think they're, and I don't know if it's in Disneyland that there is a Toontown train station, but this would be my second train station stop in this Fantasyland area.
Yeah.
From there, I completely remove this section of Toontown in Disneyland where we have Roger Rabbit, like that whole front section. I get rid of that. I don't much care for Roger Rabbit. It's not a thing I need. And then this is where I would still keep Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway here in Toontown.
I agree with that.
And then, I guess 4 is technically, I think in my map I've got the train station there behind like the City Hall. So either or.
Yeah.
But then I would have the meet and greet for Minnie and Daisy at Minnie's house. The meet and greet for Mickey Mouse at Mickey's house. Mm-hmm. And then I would keep Chip and Dale's coaster. I don't think we need the Barnstormer.
No. We don't need both.
But if you were going to have one or the other, it really doesn't. I'm not super attached to either or. I just feel like the Chip and Dale's one makes a little bit more sense. So
I agree.
And then we would have Donald and Goofy at Donald's Duck Pond, and then we could even still keep like Goofy's How to Play yard there as well. But I didn't feel like we necessarily needed the Duck Pond and the Play yard and the Casey Juniors. So mine is kind of combining the 2, but then that's where I would have Dumbo and the idea of like the circus and the rest of it.
I love that.
Thanks.
I love all of it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's perfect. I'm not going to change anything about that. Yeah. No, I think that's wonderful. Okay, that was easy.
It was a lot easier than I thought. I am shocked at how much we were on the same page because I really thought we were going to be in 2 different places.
Me too. And like as I was doing it, that's why I was like, I'm just going to send her this Epcot map because I know she's going to go, okay, but what are you going to do with this? Mm-hmm. I still can't believe I did that little thing about Small World, even though you knew we like had this conversation about Small World in Disneyland. Mm-hmm. So, but, okay. I think the only thing we need to hash out is maybe that's what we do with it. Maybe we move, because you were in agreement to Winnie the Pooh being put into Epcot. Maybe we can put, since you had the teacups over on that side over there, maybe we can move the Alice in Wonderland ride over there and the Cheshire Cat kind of over where we have Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. To make room for... Because
you were going to move the Tangled so all the princesses are together. Yeah. In Fairy Tale Forest, yeah. I would be okay with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, because we're going to... Instead of having there, I'm going to shift it over where my number 4, Pinocchio's Daring Journey was. Mm-hmm. I'll stick it there. And then I also had Dumbo kind of tucked back there. But I like where you have Dumbo better. So we can move all of that over and then have enough room for Alice. I think.
I think you're... Yeah, I like that. We could also move around Fairy Tale Gardens, too, if we need to. And I was just thinking it could go right next to Alice as well, if we needed to. So that we could open up more room on the back side there.
Okay.
For that little meet and greet, if we had to do that.
Yeah, because we were you wanted to put Alice and Peter Pan there. Anyways, so we could move it, kind of shift it downward.
Yeah. But I also think that's a good spot to kind of connect the two.
Yeah.
From where Peter Pan is, like, in my...
I agree. We could always move the train station a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
have all the room in Texas. We can do whatever we want.
That's right. We have all kinds of room. Yeah. What did we decide we were going to do with Pinocchio?
So here's, again, I feel like I'm showing my cards, but I had an idea to put Pinocchio in Italy.
I did consider that. I literally Googled what characters are from Italy because I need something else. Okay. All right.
So, but then where do I get my pizza in Magic Kingdom is the real kicker.
Does the Snuggly Duckling serve pizza?
I don't know. Let me...
Well, it does now.
Get on my app. Yeah, it does now.
Snuggly Duckling pizza. I think it's fine.
Literally pulling out the Tokyo Disney app to see if I can find out what food it serves. Because I didn't even look at the menu. I just know, like, it's iconic in the movie and I want it.
My only concern is that our little restaurant in the castle and then also having the Beauty and the Beast castle. Or are we just not going to think that hard about it? Because I was thinking about that when I was like, oh, I want the castle, but we already have the castle look inside of our new castle that we've completely changed. And it's a mashup of the movie castle and...
we have to have a princess dining experience in the castle. So do we go back to Cinderella's royal table? Do we put in something else? Okay, because here is where I also thought, like 1900 Park Fair could go inside the castle as well. It's just not as regal, but it is still very Fantasyland-like.
Well, we already have its concept in...
I know. I did think about that, and I was like, oh, should we change it back? But, okay, all right. So do we put in Cinderella's royal table?
What princess doesn't have a restaurant? Or that deserves a castle? I don't know.
You could take Storybook Dining over at Wilderness Lodge and move it.
I was thinking about that. Then what made me also consider that is that you wanted to do that Snow White Once Upon a something. I'm going to get yelled at again because I don't remember what the heck it was called.
Once Upon a Time Adventure. I don't know how hard that is to understand. Although maybe it's just, maybe that's your one thing like Gaston's is for me. I don't know.
Because that would fit if we made it Snow White's. Because in the movie, did we ever see her, like, ending with the castle? Did they show a castle in that movie?
It's been so long since I've seen it. I don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, okay, so that could work. My only also gripe is...
Sleeping Beauty does not have her own dining anywhere. Yeah, but... Right? Oh. What?
I don't like Snow White either, don't worry.
Are you even a Disney fan? I mean...
I promise I am. It's just... Okay, I don't want to hate on the very original movie, but, like, Snow White's a snooze fest. I can't. The dwarves are the best part of that movie. I just don't like her voice. No offense to the actor, but, like...
It's such a classic voice for the 1950s. Exactly. Yeah.
I agree. But, like, watching it as an adult, I'm like, oh, man. I didn't hate it when I was a kid. I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. But, yeah, Sleeping Beauty doesn't have a... But so if we're pulling from things we know...
Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. I think at one point the Cinderella's Royal Table was called like King Stephen's something.
Oh, I feel like that's true.
Banquet hall. And I only say this because I am almost positive I have a photo of me on a birthday wearing a King Stephen's banquet hall hat. If I can find it, I'm going to put it in this video. Yeah, I think that's what was there. If it wasn't in the castle, then it was right by it. I need to find out more about this. I'm going to have to go down a research rabbit hole.
If we do, it would make so much sense to do Snow White, though, because we already have the 7 dwarves tucked right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I thought it'd be good to put the Once Upon a Time adventure there.
Yes. Okay, I have a little bit of an idea. Can we flop? Because you also were keeping Disney's or Princess Fairy Tale Hall too, right? Like in that location.
Yeah.
Flip them around. Put your hold on, I gotta look because I'm just kind of tired of being yelled at tonight.
Well, then don't say things worth getting yelled at for.
I know. Okay. The Mickey Mouse musical review. Can we flip it to the other side, kind of where Winnie the Pooh is, so that it's closer to Toontown?
Yeah.
And kind of keep the princess stuff over this way?
Yeah. I say flip-flop those 2 buildings, put it on the end, the Mickey Mouse attraction on the end towards Toontown.
Yeah, I think so.
And then that way you can put your princesses on the other side.
Yeah, and then across from it is going to be the Tangled area. It'll be the first, like, princess thing you hit. Yeah, I think so. This is crazy. It makes me actually super excited for, like, the rest of it. And I'm really curious what you're going to do about Toontown, or not Toontown, Tomorrowland.
I've got some ideas. I will say that this one was one that I was like, what do we do with Epcot? What's the theory behind it? And then there are just things that I think, need to be moved around. So I don't want to give it all away, but I am excited about it. I guess this kind of tells us that our next park should probably be Epcot. So I'm interested to think or to find out what attractions and things our listeners think about what we're doing. How many of you are like Team Stephanie on this, I don't like all these things, and how many of you are like me who's like, give me all of it.
Stephanie hates literally everything. I'm waiting for that comment. It's coming. Because all of my little snippets are me saying that I don't like something. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's all fine. Yes, I am curious. I feel like I would love some listeners to tell us their perfect Fantasyland, what's in their top attractions.
Yeah. And for those people who have been around Disney long enough, like, is there a version of an attraction that we're missing, I mean,
yeah.
I'm the history nut, and I liked to kind of deep dive into what exists beforehand. But yeah. Before we kind of wrap this up, I did want to share or talk a little bit about some of the comments that we have heard. And one of them specifically, I'm going to shout out my mother, who was telling us before she even got through our Adventureland episode, she was already yelling at me for the discussion around Jungle Cruise, between that and Haunted Mansion. And I was like, you have to listen. Like, don't yell at me. Because she was like, if you guys get rid of that, that's the only reason I go to the parks is those 2 attractions. And we were talking, and I said, that's because they're original stories. They're not tied to a movie. That's why you like them. And she was like, yeah, don't get rid of them. And I was like, well, you just have to listen, okay? But so we did kind of get some of that feedback. And now we know that I think we made the right call by keeping Thunder Mountain, because I'm sure there are people who are in the same boat of keeping it. And also, I'm just going to ask or put it out there. If you guys want, if you're listening and you want to share your ideas, let us know. Send us a message. We'd be happy to hear them out, read them out for you. Or if you would like to come on and talk about them with us, we'd be happy to have you.
Some things we want to possibly do in between episodes being released is hopping on Instagram live and maybe bringing some people on to chat with us. And they can also email us too, right? We have an email.
We do. You're putting me on the spot, because I believe it's ifitwereuptouspod@gmail.com, but I am going to double check that as we speak, and I will put it down here.
They can email us. Or find us on all the socials.
Yeah, send us a message. Put a comment on this video. Let us know what you think. And if you think you've got better ideas, we are open to hearing them. That's the whole point of this discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess that wraps it up. Fantasyland ties it with a nice, neat bow. And I guess we'll be on to Tomorrowland next.
Yep. If it were up to us.
You'll just have to listen.
Oh, man. I got to figure out if I have enough things to make a Tomorrowland.
I was thinking this was going to take 2, so I had not prepared Tomorrowland yet. So
I thought it would, too. But we were basically on the same page about things.
Which is crazy, because I really didn't think that. Yeah. I think that one was fun, though. I will say, it was... Yeah, I was thinking I was going to have to hold... that's why I kind of split them into 2 sections, because I thought we were going to have a debate.
I did, too.
Yeah.
Same.
So, yeah, I guess now I got to spend some time over the weekend. I will say I did do some, like I said, because I had time this week to, start pulling ideas for different things and wanting to bring various attractions to... whatchamacallit, but because then that started I did the same thing you did, which is, well, should it go in Epcot? And now I need to look at Epcot and what do we really have in Epcot? How can we make Epcot better? What's the theme of Epcot? I'm gonna stop recording.
Yeah.
But